Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. Today is Good Friday, as well as Swami Yogananda's birthday. Swami Yogananda was one of the special disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, who Sri Ramakrishna said was an Ishvara Koti. That is, these are eternal, you can say, companions of an avatar. His was a wonderful life. Technically, he was a disciple of Holy Mother because she initiated him. He gave up his body very early, and but his contributions was immense to the Ramakrishna order. Come back to Bhavanath Chattopadhyay, Bhavanath. So Bhavanath's spiritual journey was going on very smoothly. Of course, no journey goes ever smoothly. There's always bumps, there's always ups and downs, there's always turbulence. That is because when we are trying to detach ourselves from the mundane and get into the spiritual realm, the mind, with its old habits, recoils because it is surrounded with familiar things, and the spiritual realm is vast and yet unknown. So there is the constant struggle there between these spiritual aspirants to completely detach themselves from there. However, in Bhavanath's case, he was very soft-natured, and some of his pictures, not some, there are just two pictures. He resembled physical appearance a little like Sri Ramakrishna. You see him. For his parents, they insisted that he marry. And he did. Somewhere in 1883 or in the beginning of 1884. His wife's name was Kiran Shashi, like a moonbeam. And so after his marriage, he brought his wife to Sri Ramakrishna so that he would bless both of them. And Sri Ramakrishna did bless them both. Why do you to bless them? Yeah, so that they both continue on their spiritual journey. The goal of married life, or even monastic life, or any life for that matter, is the realization of God. That Sri Ramakrishna always held before everybody. It was during this time that he got a job as a teacher, but it never lasted long. His wife also fell seriously ill, and through God's grace, she was saved. Though he was now a proper householder, yet he wasn't too interested in his household duties. But then, once you're in it, you've got to have a steady job, etc. And he was trying to get a good paying job. He used to visit the master regularly. And as we mentioned, both the future Swami Vivekananda, Narendranath, and Bhavanath were very close friends. They were friends. When Swamiji's father had passed away, and when he saw what the world is through the eyes of destitution and poverty and rejection, his old conceptions and old friends and all had kind of dropped away. And his heart had become hardened. And anyone who used to speak about God and how compassionate and how loving God is, Swami Vivekananda had very harsh words against that. So one day, Bhavanath, his close friend, he goes to Sri Ramakrishna and says, "Sir, we never dreamed that Narendra would sink so low." The master became agitated and exclaimed, "Silence, you scoundrel. Mother has told me that he would never do such things. If you talk like this anymore, I won't allow you in my presence again." So externally, Swamiji had that kind of behavior to rebuff people when he was in these straits, these dire straits. Now, Sri Ramakrishna used to give different instructions for both householders and monastics. But one thing he always stressed on, there should be no hypocrisy. He should say, there should be no theft in the chamber of your heart. Your mind and your speech should be one. And here, Sri Ramakrishna used to praise Bhavanath. He's saying how guileless Bhavanath is. And then he also said, after he got married, he brought his wife here for me to bless her. And then he asked Sri Ramakrishna, "Why do I feel so much love for my wife?" Then Sri Ramakrishna is clarifying, this is due to the world bewitching Maya of the Divine Mother. And so he also said that a wife who is endowed with spiritual wisdom is a real partner in life. And from Sri Ramakrishna's remarks, you can see, he say, Bhavanath is married, but he spends the whole night in spiritual conversation with his wife. The couple pass their time talking of God. So this was his, as I say, marriage life. Now, when Sri Ramakrishna used to get into this samadhis, bhava samadhis, very few people could touch him, because there was always some impure thought or impurity that Sri Ramakrishna could detect. And especially when he was in the state of samadhi, he used to actually feel pain when somebody other than an pure person would touch him. But in Bhavanath's case, he didn't object at all. So at times we have seen Rakal, that is the future Swami Brahmananda, and Bhavanath supporting Sri Ramakrishna when he used to go into samadhi. Somebody holding him. One day, Bhavanath asked the master, saying, to take away his Maya. And everybody has their own Maya, but so Bhavanath said, take away my Maya. So this means, you see, his soul is longing to be detached from everything. He knows what is holding him, because as we have seen, that he was born with the characteristics of a yogi. And Sri Ramakrishna says that he was born perfect. So Sri Ramakrishna, oh, all right, fine. On a Tuesday or on a Saturday, which is an auspicious day of the Divine Mother, saying, bring some food and I will eat your Maya. That is through the food, of course. And when Bhavanath arrived with food prepared by him, the master tried to eat it. And he's saying, the commentator says, but he could not lift his hand to his mouth. He takes a morsel, he couldn't lift his hand to his mouth. He tried several times. And then he said with tears, Mother is not allowing me to do it. Now this is what a guy wants to get free and mother says no. So Sri Ramakrishna used to, broadly speaking, dwell on two planes. When he was on the human plane, I mean, human plane is not like exactly like us. His mind used to not come below his Vishuddha chakra. This is the chakra here. So most used to come to his heart chakra. So in this state, he had great compassion for people, and he tried hard to help people in every way, try to liberate them, etc., etc. But when his mind ascended to a higher plane, there he could see the past and present and future of the disciple. And it was there that he used to judge, this guy's time is not yet propitious, it's not come. So, or he would say, it's not the will of the Divine Mother. So, he wanted to help him, and yet he saw that, it's not time. Bhavanath has to go through a few more experiences. But he used to love Bhavanath a lot. One time there some devotees had come from a nearby village, and so when they saw Sri Ramakrishna in a samadhi, they were confused and they wanted to leave. And Bhavanath said, wait, he is in the state of samadhi. And they kept on gazing at Sri Ramakrishna. So after they left, after Sri Ramakrishna's samadhi was over, they left. Bhavanath says, these devotees from Konnagar, that's a neighboring village, did not understand your samadhi and were about to leave the room. The master said, who was it that asked them to remain? So Bhavanath smiling at his eye, he's saying, the master said, my child, you're equally good in bringing people here and equally good in driving them away. But Sri Ramakrishna remarks, saying, you see, Bhavanath, he says that he feels such great relief by doing japa. That is, here the exact translation, by taking the name of Hari. Hari is Vishnu, Narayana. So he's saying, and he says that Sri Ramakrishna says, he who relieves us of our three afflictions in the world is Hari. Three afflictions, I have said, broadly speaking, there are these three afflictions which we have no control over. Physical and mental afflictions, then the terrestrial, things happen to you. You have no control over these circumstances. And then something from an even higher plane. It's like a huge snowstorm or an earthquake, etc. And he praised Bhavanath for this, because when you take the name of the Lord, that is, do japa, you must feel a great ease, a great joy within. Otherwise, you still have to get to that stage where that complete reliance on God's name has not yet become ripe enough, not mature enough. So when we do japa, that reliance on the name, that the name is what will lead me to God, that itself gives you a great relief, great joy, a great ease. The subtle body inside, which is there, expands. Otherwise, all other thoughts which are unspiritual makes the subtle body contract. One time he wanted to, Sri Ramakrishna wanted a picture of an sage, not considered a sage in the normal sense of the term, but he was a divine child in a way. It's called Dhruva. He has a very long story. The North Star is named after him, that is Dhruva Tara. That is. And he was a great yogi, and he attained perfection when he was just a child. So Sri Ramakrishna wanted a picture of this divine child, Dhruva. And he told Bhavanath to get it. Bhavanath, because he was preoccupied with things, could not bring that picture. And Sri Ramakrishna, whenever he used to see that people are not acting immediately on a particular thing, he used to get restless. He wanted things, do this here. He wanted someone to do it now, not wait. This is another indication of the mind of a yogi. A thought arises, it has to fructify, because that thought will be a kind of a hindrance to absorption in God. I have seen these kind of people, oh my God, and heard also many, that whenever a thought used to arise, they wanted that action to happen immediately. For them, thought and action, karma, were complementary. As we have said, the sensory and the motor systems work in tandem. So Sri Ramakrishna had sent his nephew Ramlal to obtain that picture, because now he said, I want that picture, and he has to have that picture. And he goes to Bhavanath's place, and Bhavanath is saying, I was busy, I couldn't bring that picture to the master, but I brought it, here it is. Picture, in a sense, it's a painting. Conceived from what has been described in the mythology, the Puranas. And he brought it, and Sri Ramakrishna was pleased. But at the same time, saying, did Bhavanath give you something to eat or something like that? That is inauspicious. When a guest comes, the guest has to be honored as somebody special. Not only that, in the Vedas they say, Atithi Devo Bhava. Like the mother is a god, the father is a god, the teacher is a god, and the guest is a god. So these are things that in ancient India, they were, it had become part of their way of thinking and culture. So he said, no, he didn't give me anything. So, and doesn't matter that I had lunch and I had gone. So Sri Ramakrishna was kind of, this is the fancy of these Calcutta people. One time, Sri Ramakrishna's legs were slightly swollen. So he asked Bhavanath to get a doctor. So that particular doctor who used to live in the neighborhood. Bhavanath said, "You have great faith in medicine, but we haven't so much." So Sri Ramakrishna said, "It is God who as a doctor prescribes the medicine. It is He who in one form has become the physician." Now that, of course, Sri Ramakrishna is to see everybody as a manifestation of God, including physicians. One time in Dakshineshwar, all devotees were around, and Bhavanath, he dressed himself as a monk. And he, in the word used is brahmachari, that is one who is a spiritual aspirant of high order. And so he came, those monks, they have something called like a water pot made out of a gourd. It's a long process, but monks used to carry. It's something called a kamandalu, water pot. So he dressed up as a monk and came with that monk's water pot, and he was beaming. Sri Ramakrishna looked at him and smiled, and he also was glad. He's saying, the master said, that is his inner feeling. Therefore, he has dressed himself as a brahmachari. So, with Sri Ramakrishna, he was quite, I can say, free. So he used to ask various questions. And one of his questions was, if I feel disturbed, if I have a misunderstanding with somebody, I feel that in that case, I am not able to love all. This is the problem with spiritual aspirants, not only spiritual aspirants, everybody. So there's always a misunderstanding. And this world cannot read you correctly, nor can you read the world correctly. That also is there. There is always some friction, there is always some misunderstanding, but then we kind of overlook faults, etc. We are patient. So this is the question he had asked, that he feels that, Bhavanath said, he feels that I'm not able to love all because I have some misunderstanding with it. The master, very wisely has given advice. Try at the outset to talk to that person and establish a friendly relationship with him. If you fail despite your efforts, then don't give it another thought. Take refuge in God. Meditate on Him. There is no use in giving up God and feeling depressed from thinking about others. Sri Ramakrishna went to that very extreme, saying, yeah, you try to go and try to compromise, try to explain yourself. And if you can't, then forget it. One time Swami Vivekananda, and Bhavanath also was a very good singer. One time Swami Vivekananda was singing a song, and the song is, in dense darkness, O Mother, thy formless beauty sparkles. Therefore, the yogis meditate in a dark mountain cave. Who art thou, Mother, seated alone in the shrine of Samadhi? So, as he said, who art thou, seated alone in the shrine of Samadhi? Like Samadhi Mandire. That is, in a Vespers hymn we say, come to the heart's black cave and illumine, thou light of the lights. So this is that shrine of Samadhi inside. As Swamiji sang this last line, Sri Ramakrishna got up and goes into Samadhi himself. After he descends from that, he's still trying to get his bearings. It's difficult when the person has reached that state and has to come down, it takes a while. And from the external signs, it appears that this person is intoxicated. And Sri Ramakrishna used to be mistakenly spoken about, oh, he's intoxicated. So Sri Ramakrishna, still overcome with divine emotion, he sat down and he was going to eat, and he couldn't eat. And when a person comes down from that state of samadhi, the person's behavior resembles a child. No affectations, no nothing, no shame, no anger, no fear, no hatred, nothing. Just like a child. So the food placed before him, and he began eating with both his hands. Of course, nowadays we can eat with both hands. Of course, we have a knife and a fork and all these things. Sri Ramakrishna used to use his hands, and it's comical to just even imagine how Sri Ramakrishna is trying to eat with both hands, trying to put morsels, and he couldn't. Then he told Bhavanath, feed me, because of his ecstasy, he sometimes the morsel is going here or something, spilling all over the place. And Bhavanath began to feed him. And this was a great good fortune, because very few people first could touch Sri Ramakrishna in that state, and very few people were allowed to feed him, physically feed him. So Bhavanath was one of them. Sri Ramakrishna used to ask him whenever he used to visit, why aren't you visiting me often? And Bhavanath says, I'm busy, and saying, my dear child, you must be able to come here. Touching and talking is necessary, he's saying. So what do you mean by seeing me from a distance, etc.? Now, here, by 1885, Sri Ramakrishna was diagnosed with this throat cancer, and he was shifted from Dakshineshwar to Calcutta, called Shampur, and from there to Kashipur. During this time, Bhavanath's life was kind of gone topsy-turvy. That is, he was studying in order to get a job, and then he was doing his graduation, etc. And so he used to not visit Sri Ramakrishna. One time he did, and Sri Ramakrishna says, he comes and says, sir, how are you? And Sri Ramakrishna says, this illness, that is a cancer, is sifting disciples by the inner and the outer. So it's obvious Bhavanath now in the outer circle of devotees. And Sri Ramakrishna says, well, I talked to him because, for Narendra's sake, that is Swami Vivekananda's sake, because they were both very good friends. But Sri Ramakrishna says, I have kind of let him go. As I say, he is not in my mind anymore. So his family responsibilities, you can say, he's seeking a job, entailed all this trouble in his life. One time, he had come to visit Sri Ramakrishna, and they both, Sri Ramakrishna was looked at both the friends, Narendra and Bhavanath, talking, and so Sri Ramakrishna saying, give him a lot of courage. because he was looking for a job. He was asking M, who was the teacher, is there a job in that school which he is teaching there? So Bhavanath was about 22 or 23 during that time. And this is one of the first initial times when M was getting acquainted with the other devotees. So Narendra and Bhavanath saying, both smiled when he said, the master said, give him a lot of courage. Then Sri Ramakrishna said to Bhavanath by sign, be a hero. Don't forget yourself because you're married, etc. And so both of them began laughing, Narendra and Bhavanath, and M also laughed. He must have visited him a couple of times more, but he was definitely present when Sri Ramakrishna passed away, because there were, like I said, there were 2 pictures taken, and he is in both the pictures. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, he wrote a few kind of books, instruction manuals, etc., on ethics for the general people. He also wrote an article on Sri Ramakrishna after he passed away in a magazine called Shaka, Friend. When Sri Ramakrishna had passed away, and now the young disciples, they were thinking of starting a monastery. So Suren Mitra, whose life we have seen, he agreed to finance the monastery. First, they had to buy a house, rent a house rather. So the job was given to Bhavanath, and Bhavanath searched around and finally found an old, dilapidated house, mansion rather. And the rent was very low because it was presumed to be haunted. And so nobody would live there. So he and another disciple, Hutko Gopal, Sri Ramakrishna disciple, they went there, cleaned the place, and they made it ready for the monastic disciples to come and occupy it. So in the meantime, Bhavanath had got a job, and he moved from Dakshineshwar to a place called South Calcutta. His first daughter, she was born and she died when she was about 2.5 years. That was a big blow. And his second daughter, she was born in 1890. Her name was Pratibha. We don't know what happened to her. And but he kept his connection with the monastery. He used to come now and then visit. One time, Swami Ram Krishnananda reminisced. That is, one day the master told him, go and see Bhavanath and talk to him. And you see, he says, both he and Swamiji had a great affinity for each other as well as for the master. And Swami Ram Krishnananda, called Sashi Maharaj, he said, Bhavanath was one of those whom the master spoke of as having born perfect. But he's saying, he went to him and he was curious, why did the master ask me, a monk, to go to Bhavanath, who is now a householder, to learn? And then when he met him, he's saying, I understood then why the master had sent me. He's saying, as we sat and began talking of God, that is both Ramakrishnananda, Sashi Maharaj, and Bhavanath. So he saw Bhavanath go into very deep meditation. And saying tears of bliss and devotion flowed from his eyes. So here Ramakrishna saw that he was completely immersed in God. Externally, his life was kind of taking him on kind of on a tangent, going out. Apparently, it was seen like that. He was married, he had children, he got a job, and he was working, etc. But internally, this was his real state of mind. He used to frequent the monastery, first monastery, and when the monastery was shifted to another location, he also used to go out there and visit. Swamiji, when he was in the US, Swamiji never let his old friendship go. And he used to write to his disciples, asking how Bhavanath is. And Swamiji says, my friend, it is difficult to judge what is in a particular individual. Sri Ramakrishna has spoken highly of him. He deserves our respect. So this was, he used to ask, how is Bhavanath? How is he doing? So he had maintained his great affection for Bhavanath still. The last 8 years of his life, he had a job as a school inspector of schools. You know, we have school inspector, and his job was to go to different schools and districts and check on them. So he used to travel a lot from district to district. And one time, when he was now what is called Bangladesh, he fell sick with an infectious fever. It's called a black fever, Kala Azar. Now he was moved immediately to Calcutta. He was brought here, he was sick. Kala Azar is like a death sentence. You can't recover. As we've seen, even Swami Premananda, he also had that Kala Azar, black fever. So when he was brought here, there was a plague in Calcutta. And to avoid that plague, he was taken to another kind of country house, far away. It's called Madhupur. Yeah, quite a distance. Now Madhupur is now in Jharkhand, a different state. So after the plague outbreak was it was over, it has fizzled out, he was brought back and to Calcutta. And after that, he was alive only for 1 month. He survived for 1 month. Towards the very end, though he was physically suffering from this, but he was in a constant state of ecstasy. And that means his mind was not affected at all by the afflictions of the body. This is very important. For us, if we have something happening to the body, the mind is kind of held down there. So he had broken the connection with the body. So that speaks of a high state of yoga. It's not easy to just break the connections with your body. So he was constantly in the state of ecstasy. And he says, sometimes he used to utter loudly, Kali, Kali, Ram Krishna, Ram Krishna. And he used to scan the room, the place where he is, as if he was seeing the master, etc., Kali, etc. He asked his relatives and family to burn incense sticks. That is another sign of departure. Yes, when that person himself is saying, light the incense. So that's a sign. Because his chosen deity has arrived or is there present. So that is one way of honoring the deity. And towards the very end, he did not want anyone to touch his body. That is another sign of yoga. At that time, like Sri Ramakrishna used to not like the touch of any impurity, any impure thought or any person used to give him kind of shivers and used to actually give him pain. The same thing had happened with Bhavanath Chattopadhyay, that he did not allow anyone to touch the body. So in 1896, he passed away. He gave up his body rather. These people don't pass away. They give up the body as an act, with an act of will. As you said, he has already been disconnected, that karmic bonds that held him to the body, which were broken, and then they just give up the body. So he gave up the body. He was just 33. And then he was, after his body was cremated in Kashipur, where Sri Ramakrishna was cremated. So here we see the life of Bhavanath. Sri Ramakrishna said he was born perfect. And he lived his life. First he came in very close proximity with Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna blessed him, did everything. But he had a few experiences to go through. Sri Ramakrishna could not eat his maya. He did go through it. Sri Ramakrishna, in one of his teachings, said there are two types of yogis. One are the manifest, the revealed. Everybody can see, yeah, these are yogis, And there are the other types, which are the hidden yogis. You can't detect them. You can't know them. Bhavanath was the hidden yogi. Saying nobody recognized him, except, of course, Sri Ramakrishna and a few other disciples. And the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, they held him in high regard. So this was how Sri Ramakrishna wanted the world to see how a hidden yogi lives in this world and how he finally attains liberation. So the other monastic disciples, they were all known yogis. Bhavanath was a hidden yogi, and this was his wonderful life. We stop here, and the end of a wonderful life, Bhavanath Chattopadhyay. Next Friday, we take up Purna Chandra Ghosh, another great householder. Great because that's another. He himself, Sri Ramakrishna says, was a god-like soul, Ishvara Koti. But he also had to marry, etc. But we see how his life was like that of Bhavanath, a hidden yogi. What we see externally may give us a different idea of a person. The internal person is different. God sees what is inside. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let's see what we have. Questions here? Okay. That's all. Thank you. Oh, somebody has a thing. In dense darkness, a formless beauty sparkles. That is why yogis meditate. So as we know, Sunday is Easter. So we're going to speak on the message of Easter at 10 a.m. We have study groups on Wednesday, Thursday online at the retreat, Friday, this Friday, Sunday. We also have Ram Nam. We have children's programs. We have go out to our website and check out our programs on the calendar. See, we have.
So he came in perfect, and I guess it sounds like maybe he had a little karma hanging out there to work through. So as he enters samsara to a little degree, I guess the new karma, positive, negative, just kind of didn't stick to him, right?
Yeah, the question is, yeah, he was born perfect, and he had some karma and that led him to samsara, and yeah. But even for me, it was when I first read his life and the levels of meditation and devotion that these people reach. Why should they have even a trace of samsara karma that goes out? In this case, we can find Sri Ramakrishna says, the Divine Mother is not letting me eat your Maya. So here we can take it as the will of the Divine Mother. Because if he was born perfect, he should have stayed perfect till the very end. But what makes us think that he wasn't perfect even in the middle? He was perfect in the beginning. He was perfect in the end. Why not? He is not perfect. Through this, Sri Ramakrishna demonstrated how a hidden yogi can live. A hidden yogi can live anywhere. Whether he is in samsara or whether he is not. So it's like that. Yes. So whether he was born as a result of some karma which has led him to samsara, but here we see that, well, he was born perfect. That he never needed to go through these experiences, but he did. At times we feel that in this divine play of Sri Ramakrishna, different people play different roles. And we may not understand him now according to the scriptures, scripturally. Because if you're born perfect, you're going to stay perfect and you're going to end perfect in everything. The scriptures say like this. But we get an insight into how the Divine Mother also tweaks things according to her will. She is not going to care about your perfection or imperfection and all these things. I want my play to go on. But at the end, you see, when he is in that ecstatic state, he is, in fact, he was not shouting, but he was saying the name of Kali very loudly. Kali, Kali, Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna. So there it was. And he had incense burned, so he was seeing her presence there. And for the Divine Mother, everything is like a twinkling of an eye. What's wrong with you if you go for a couple of years, you go and get muddied and you come back? Holy Mother is saying, it's my job to clean them up. So finally, the soul is not affected. But since they have taken bodies, yes, at times they go through these experiences. That's a nice question. And that was one of the questions that first arose in my mind. Why? You will be surprised at the next Purna Chandra Ghosh. Even he was a godlike soul, Ishvara Koti. Out of the 6 Ishvara Kotis that came to him, 5 became monastics and 1 Purna Chandra Ghosh became a householder. Why? Well, that's That is also the divine play. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.